Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll get started here in just a moment. Thank you for tuning in, Faith. Good day to you as well. Thanks, Faith. Thanks, Faith. Thanks. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more, or at least about my journey and what it's been for the first 51 years of this natural life. All right, so I'm going to be sharing a little more some of the details that I have not shared in the past on this channel. I do have a shadow band channel here on YouTube as well. That is Esoteric Guidance, Extraterrestrial Earth Angel. Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in. You are tuned into Esoteric Wisdom and Spiritual Truths. My name is Nehru. Welcome in, everyone. Hello, Divine Goddess. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, your energy, what you bring to the table. All right. So it's interesting that Faith says, she says, "Hi, Nehru. Good day." Says, "You look very nice." Okay. So it's interesting that Faith says that because my song download at this time is by the Miracles. Okay. An older music group is by the Miracles. And the name of the song is Love Machine. Okay. Love Machine. I'm just a love machine. And I don't work for nobody but you. Okay. So someone could be looking at you like they have a lot of love to give and they don't want to work for nobody but you. I'm just a love machine. Okay. A hug and kiss and clean. Okay. All right. Hello. Shout out to you, Justice League. Baby, good to see you. Good to have you in the energy. I was hoping you'd be here. Might be something for us to exchange, Justice League. Okay, might be something for us to exchange. I know you have great recommendations and things of that nature from time to time. So if there's anything that you would like to share, feel free to, Justice League. It is currently 7:27. 7:27. I believe that is the name of a airliner. 7:27, 7:47 could be significant for you. Hello, Lakeisha. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. So, as the picture states, or what have you, we're going to take a look at December baby birthdays. So, if you were birthed in December this lifetime, December 1st through December 31st, we're going to take a look at your energy. But first, I am going to share a little bit about my story. Much of parts of my story will no doubt resonate for you because we are spiritual beings having a human experience and not human beings having a spiritual experience. There's nothing new under the sun. So the same karmic tricks that the enemy tried on you, they tried on me. The same karmic tricks the enemy tried on Issa, that is Yeshua, Christ, they tried on you and me. So, my journey began in the physical, form after birth on 11/29/74. Okay, November 29th, 1974. That is the 333rd day of the year. All right. So I was born on the 333rd day of the year, obviously through a man and woman. And I do not know who my biological father is today. I do have very spiritually educated guess as to who that is, but I do not have 3D paper form confirmation as of yet. And again, you will resonate with some of this for your journey, I'm sure. And so, born on that day, through my spiritual journey and research, I have found out that during that time of the year in 1974, that was during the last lunar eclipse of that year. Okay, during the last lunar or divine feminine eclipse of 1974. Okay, and so the man and woman who raised me, their name is Kevin and Judy. Okay, Kevin and Judy. Kevin's last name is Thomas. Judy's last name is Campbell. Judy Marie Campbell and Kevin Thomas. They met sometime in high school around 1971 or 1972. Okay, 71, 72, 17, 2017, 2020, or 7, could be something about next year, or 27, the age 27, 1972. Okay, and so one or both of them murdered my father this lifetime, and so again, I do not know who they are. I do not know. Yeah. All right. So, raised by Kevin and Judy, I lived with Judy in the projects of Joliet, Illinois. Okay, the projects, low-income housing, government cheese. Okay, manual lawnmowers. For those of you who do not know what a manual lawnmower is, that's one without a motor. It just has the metal blades. Okay, and you just push it across the grass, and it dully does the job. Dully does the job, unless the blades are sharpened. And so yeah, she had food stamps. She raised us in that type of environment. Okay. Right before I moved with Kevin, when I was 11. Judy supposedly made that decision for me and someone else who she gave birth to, whose name is Matthew. Okay, Matthew. All right. And Judy was not a very good mother. Okay. And Judy also gave birth to a son whose name was Christopher. Yes, Keith. Not Christopher, Keith. Okay, Christopher could be significant for you. And but at the age of 11, I moved with Kevin. Okay, I chose to move with Kevin for a number of reasons. One, he was my childhood hero. I looked up to him. He would fix cars. I would want to learn how to fix cars. He showed me how to change the first water pump on a car that I had before I went into the military. And so I wanted to learn, wanted to be around him, loved him, adored him, right? Much the way a child does their father in many cases. And so I moved with Kevin when I was 11, okay? And Kevin was a minister, a pastor, a reverend. But Kevin's father taught him witchcraft when Kevin was a child or a teenager. At some point, he learned witchcraft from someone. Okay? And he decided that he was going to use this witchcraft on any and everybody, okay, including families. And so as a minister, you have families who come to your church. Well, Kevin decided that he was going to destroy the families that came to his church, okay? And he did this by taking the wives of those men, okay? And he did this through witchcraft, all right? All right, so we're going to start pulling energy here for December, all right? December babies, okay? And in his process of stealing these women, I was eyewitness to many of these family breakups, okay? We have December babies, we have a message for you. And it's the sun message. Okay, the number 19, 2019, something about 1991. You could be well, you can't be 19 and watching this, I guess. I guess you could, right? So, also I'm getting a coming into maturity energy. Thank you for reminding me of the simple joys of life. It is happiness that comes from the soul, so pure, innocent, and full of truth. There's a horn honking out here in Da Nang, Vietnam, where I am. And so Kevin used witchcraft to destroy these families that came to his church. Okay? And he would take the women to be his. Okay? Something that I learned about Kevin years later is that Kevin said, any woman, it doesn't matter who she belongs to, it doesn't matter who she, and I shouldn't even say belongs to, because you are not property women, okay? And you are a valuable, okay? But Kevin said, December babies, we have some type of communication or sharing of information here, December babies, right? Kevin said that any woman, married or not, that crosses the threshold of his front door of his house, wherever he's living, those women belong to him. This was a rule of his. So if you brought your boyfriend, girlfriend, or I shouldn't say girlfriend, if you brought your girlfriend over for us, okay, or some man brought their spouse over with them, or their fiance or their significant other over to the house with them, little did I know initially, but it's true, they all ended up being a part of his cult at some point. So he stayed true to any woman who crosses the threshold of a house I live in belongs to me. All right? And so I did not know or understand that applied to me as well, but I found that out at some point, okay? And again, as I pull the energy for December babies, I'm sharing more about my journey, okay, here, this lifetime around. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, okay? Okay. Yeah, confirmation goddess, divine goddess, confirmation. And so, return to sender. And so, at the age of 15, we took a trip from high school, while I was in high school, not from high school. While I was in high school, we took a winter break vacation. Me, Kevin, a woman named Christine, a woman named Janet, a woman named Shanita, yeah, okay. We took a trip, and trying to think, there was one other on that. I think Denise might have gone on that trip too, but we took a trip from Illinois to Florida. From Illinois, yes, from Illinois to Florida, okay? Kevin was supposedly in the process of trying to get over one of the women leaving him and taking two of his children, a son and a daughter. The son's name is Kevin. The daughter's name is Crystal, okay? And they live in Oklahoma. Okay, I'm sharing this with you again for synchronicity and just so you can know a little bit more about me. Okay, this is what I've been guided to do. I met with an ancestor when I was, during my rest time. I met with an ancestor, and that ancestor told me that I needed to share more about me. Okay, That ancestor said, I need to share more about me. This was an older looking woman, or what we would assume today would be older. She had Caucasian features, but her skin was blue. This ancestor who gave me this message the other day. Grand Rising, Chrissy, good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for showing up to the table with all that you bring. All right. And so this ancestor the other day told me, and I'm just now realizing that I'm actually following that guidance actually at this point in time. I didn't even realize that when I started the video. I just knew that I was divinely guided to share more of my journey at this time. And so December babies, we are pulling energy for December babies, December 1st through December 31st. December babies, there's something coming in about some sharing. Again, this could be the person who you are reminding of the simple joys of life. With Sun card message out here, it is a happiness that comes from the soul, so pure and innocent. Okay, so that individual could be having some news to share about with you about someone trying to poison you, December babies, or someone trying to take you out. Okay, that is a blender. What do you do with blenders? You blend things. That's blood, or at least it could be in there. Okay, could be something about spaghetti, okay, that you should not eat, or you did not eat, or you did and it did not harm you. Okay, so someone could be coming to share information with you about a poisoning attempt, December babies. All right. And so with back to my journey with Kevin and Judy and that. So we took a trip when I was 15, okay, from Illinois to Florida. Before that trip, the weekend that I was moving in with Kevin at the age of 11, a grandfather energy and myself took a trip on the train. With Kevin, he drove. But at the age of 11, we took a trip from Illinois to Louisiana, from Louisiana to Texas, and back to Illinois. And this train trip was probably the best childhood memory that I have, or at least the one I choose to call my favorite. And it was just him and I. And he was a very strict disciplinarian, and surprisingly enough, this is my grandfather, or the one that I was raised to believe is my grandfather. Surprisingly enough, even though he was a very strict disciplinarian, when Kevin was growing up, he allowed me to run, jump, and play throughout the train. You know, his kids would be surprised at that. And so would his grandkids be surprised that he allowed me to run, jump, and play on this train. When he was a strict disciplinarian, sit down, shut up, don't say anything. He sat at the dinner table with a whip around his neck, okay? So if you said something, you know, you would get a snap, you know what I mean? So I got to see and enjoy a very different side of Kevin's father. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Janet, good to see you. Janet, good to see you. We are pulling energy as I am sharing my story. Okay, more about my journey. All right. So, Illinois could be significant for you. Louisiana could be significant for you. Texas could be significant for you. Okay, the name's Judy, Kevin. Someone could be German. Okay. All right, you could have monitoring spirits around you. That was some type of bug. All right, return to sender, return to sender, return to sender, times 5,000 with vengeance and sword. Next, December babies. Okay, so news about someone trying to poison you. Then we have a Ace of Wands and a Queen of Wands in reverse. So the truth about some karmic some truth about some karmic individual out here, male or female, Queen of Wands energy though, in the reverse. So a pathological liar, December babies, a pathological liar, okay, in your energy, was, is, all right? And so when I was 15 and we took this trip from Illinois to Florida, Kevin decided that he wanted to relocate to Florida. All right, December babies, we have the strength card coming in sideways. You could be feeling weak at this time. December babies, you could be feeling weak at this time. This could be due to how you're eating. Okay. This could be due to energetic levels. Okay. This could also obviously speak to the Queen of Wands in reverse here. Okay. The pathological liar. All right. And so we get back to Illinois, and Kevin decides that he wants to relocate to Florida because one of the women that he met in 1979 or 1980, one of those women, or she, decided to leave. Her name is Janice. So Jeanette just came into the room. Could be significant for your journey as well. And then a Janice. Okay? Then a Janice. All right? And so Janice left. She took their son and daughter out of school early, and she left. She went back to Chicago temporarily to be with her mother, and ultimately she relocated to Virginia Beach. Virginia could be significant. The Navy could be significant for you. And so from there, December babies, we have the Hierophant on the floor. Okay, we have the Hierophant here. It is in the upright. When it fell on the ground, it was on the upright, or in the upright. All right. So you might need to go into more of a hermit mode, more of an isolation at this time. Okay, and this is going to help your strength. The strength card coming out sideways. If you are the one that's feeling weak, feeling tired, feeling burdened, you need to go into some type of isolation. Okay. You need to remove yourself from those things, places, people that no longer serve your good, December babies. All right. And so continuing on with my journey, what it has been, parts and pieces, what it has been. And so we relocated to Florida from Illinois in 1991. Okay, we have 19 out here for the Sun card message. All right. So in 1991, we relocate from Illinois to Florida. Because Kevin was a polygamist and had many wives, they all knew each other. Some of them were mother and daughter relationships, okay, or relations, that he had, okay. So he would be in bed at the same time with a mother and a daughter, okay? The mother gave birth to the daughter from the cooch, and he is now laying in bed with them, or was, okay, until 2014 when he got incarcerated, all right? So, and it was more than one of those dynamics, okay? And so, when we moved to Florida, they would come down, a couple at a time, 2 or 3 at a time, get jobs and continue on working and whatever. Okay? Thanks, Justice League. I love you, baby. Thank you so much. Okay? So what else do we have for December babies? So we have the Star card coming out, and we have a Master Manifester December babies. My right leg is like tingling or something. Confirmation. December babies. Obviously, this could be a Sagittarius or a Capricorn, but December babies. Okay, you got some magic going on. Okay, you going into hermit mode is what's bringing this about, helping you to alchemize this energy here. Hermit mode, star card. Okay. Someone asked me, Divine Goddess, you asked me, was the child his? I'm not sure I understand. And which part of the story is the child his? Okay. So you going into hermit mode, will or is helping you. All right. Likewise, Justice League, keep bringing the changes to your communities and places, lives, beings that you come in contact with. Okay. Divine appointments, Justice League, expect them. Divine appointments. Okay. Oh, so no, that was not his child. No, that was she was an adult. She was, well, when they first met, she was like 18 or 19. Okay, she's 7 years older than I am. Okay, so that's how young he would pick them. He's only 18 years, 17 years older than I am, but she was like 18. Okay, at the time. This is in the mid 80s. Okay. There was also a sister dynamic in there. So there was a sister, there were two sisters. The two sisters, Denise and Delois. Denise and Delois, they're biological sisters, same mother, same father. Okay. They were also old teenagers when they met Kevin, 20, 19. They were both in that age range. Okay, 18 to 20. Okay, something about 2018 to 2020, 1998 to 2000. All right. So good job, December babies. Okay, you are alchemizing some energy here. Someone tried to poison you. Someone tried to take you out. There's some type of information that's being shared about this at this time. They could be talking, those who tried to poison you, or there's some official talk going on right now in regards to this poisoning. Okay? And that is coming from a pathological liar, someone who lies just for the hell of it. Okay? They might lie around just for the hell of it too. Lay around for the hell of it. Right? All right, December babies. So you're looking good, December. You're looking good. Okay? So, continuing on my story, to share more about my story as I was guided by that ancestor to do, and thank you to that ancestor again. Older looking lady, kind of messed up, like frazzled hair, like bed head kind of hair, but she had blue skin. And I just put my face up against hers, okay? And she whispered to me, tell more about your story. Tell more about yourself. So I was like, oh, tell more about myself. I thought I was sharing probably more than enough. I don't know. And there might be another opportunity, for you or I, collective, to share more of our story. That could be what that's about as well. All right. That's also encouragement for me to continue to write the next book that I'm writing, which is entitled Alone If I Must. Okay. So we're going to get into the collective energy here in a moment. I did finish. You'll be proud of me. I did finish one deck of new tarot cards, okay, that I got from the Vietnamese, from here in Vietnam store, all right? So I've written the meanings of these cards, translated them. I had a friend help me translate these, okay, from the hotel that I was staying at in Ho Chi Minh City. So she helped me translate these. So we're going to be taking a look at these as well, all right? Hello, thank you so much for tuning in, okay? Appreciate you tuning in, okay? Is it Piping Master? All right, thank you so much for tuning in. In 91, we moved from Illinois to Florida. Several of the women trickled down. They all have jobs up there. So, and there are other vehicles. He had 5, 6, 7, 8 cars at one time. But never worked since 1980. His social security number has not been on a job application, registered at the IRS for tax purposes since 1979 or 1980. Okay? And so in 1991, when we relocated to Florida, I started high school at Lake Howell High School. Lake Howell. Howell Road, Howell Branch, Howell. Could be something about a wolf. Okay? You could be born in the year of the wolf, whatever year that is, if there's the year of the wolf or the year of the dog. Okay. And so I got my first job in early 1992, 6 months after moving to Florida from Illinois at the age of 15. By this time I was 16. Okay, 16. And get my first job. It's at a movie theater. In Altamont Springs, Florida. This is just outside of Orlando, Florida, in Central Florida. And at that job, I met several people that I would be in communication with for the next 30 plus years. Okay. And one of those individuals I went to prom with. You've seen me show her picture from time to time. I went to prom with one of those individuals. We were not dating one another. And in fact, both of us, I think, were kind of in between boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call that. All right, at the time. She passed exactly 4 months after my kidney transplant in 2017. Kidney transplant on 7/7/17. She passed on 12/6. Okay? The 4 months after I got the news about the transplant, I got the news on 7/6, and she passed on 12/6. Okay? At the age of 47. All right? And so her name was Carrie Lynn, Lynn, Fong. Interestingly, I didn't meet Carrie until we got to Illinois, or until we got to Florida. But Carrie was born in Oak Lawn, Illinois. Oak Lawn is literally a stone's throw from Joliet, Illinois, where I was born. So I was born in 74 and in Illinois. She was born in 74 in Illinois, but we didn't meet until 16 years later when both of our families, at some point after our families relocated to Central Florida, and we get a job working at the same movie theater at the same time. Okay. Shortly after I went into the military, she fell ill. I think it was liver something. Okay. And that kind of changed her trajectory, where she thought she was going career-wise, life-wise, family planning. All of that changed at that point in time for her at the age of 20. Okay. She even changed her major to the medical field when I think originally it was going to be something else. So, thank you, Divine Source, for these new cards. Okay. Thank you, Divine Source, for these new cards. May they reveal the truth to us concerning our journey and concerning the journey of those that we have removed, or the journey of those that we are still connected to. What must be done, what needs to be done, what lurks in the darkness, in the shadows. May these cards reveal these things to us, Divine. Thank you so much for the resources to purchase and continue releasing the truth. Okay? And so I met in 1992. When I got that job, shortly after, I met someone at the high school that I was going to. Her name is Melinda. Middle name is Sherry or Cherie. Okay? And Melinda and I ended up dating off and on from 16, 17 to 20 when I went into the military. Okay. And it was a like one of those storybook teenage romances. Okay. I never left her house. I was over her house all of the time. Kevin was a polygamist, so no one was allowed over to our house. I couldn't have friends over to the house because he had all those women there. Okay? So if I wanted whatever social activities and all of that I wanted, I had to go find that elsewhere. Okay? And, or at least as far as, friends hanging out and that sort of thing. And so at one point in time, Melinda and I had broken up, okay? And Kevin introduced me to someone whose name was Tanisha, is Tanisha. I don't know what Tanisha's about today, if Tanisha's about anything. Okay? We had 3 cars that fell on the floor, right? Something's newsworthy, okay? Confirmation. Something's newsworthy, okay? We have a maid, slave, or servant, and we have a divine love. Okay, so let me show you these cards. All right, and again, these are the new cards here. Written in Vietnamese, but translated into English. Okay. So something's newsworthy here. Get the band ready. The band could be playing. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. By the dawn's early light. The band could be playing, okay? Something about the national anthem. Divine love. Okay, we have Cupid here. And we have a maid, slave, servant energy. Someone who wanted to make you a slave collective. Someone who tried to make you a slave. Okay. And so Tanisha was a stripper. Tanisha at that time in 1992, probably 94, okay? Tanisha, 92, 93, somewhere in that, 95, 94. Tanisha was a stripper, okay? And I didn't care too much for it, but she was grown. She was older than I am by, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years or something. And I remember having that discussion with her back then about our age difference, and she didn't mind it, okay? And Tanisha had a daughter. I do not remember the daughter's name, but Tanisha was from Virginia. She went to high school with Alonzo Mourning. For those of you who follow basketball, Alonzo Mourning, known as Zoe. Okay. So someone in this energy, you could have gone to high school with some high school star, someone who made it big, as they would say. Okay. So we have Cupid, okay, a divine love energy out here. We have something about news, the band is playing, okay? Someone could play the drums. And we have a slave energy out here. You could be in the medical field, a nurse. You could have considered being a nun. Or we could be dealing with religious individuals here, okay? Confirmation horn honks. Okay. All right. So we have alchemizing energy out here. Again, magician energy. Okay. Looking at the LARPer. Okay, that is a stalker energy. That is a stalker energy. A LARPer is a stalker energy. Okay. And so when I met Melinda, we started dating. We broke up. Okay. She went to prom with someone else. I went to prom with someone else. Okay. And then we ended up getting back together shortly after prom or shortly after high school graduation. We ended up getting back together that summer. Okay. And we went everywhere together, Melinda and I. Okay, we traveled to South Carolina. Her sister was older than us, so her sister would rent a car. Right, her sister's name is Ann for synchronicity. Ann, Ann. Okay, and her sister would rent us a car, and we would drive to South Carolina. Which is where her mother and father are from. Okay, and so yeah, but she didn't want to. She did not want to leave her mother and father and go to North Carolina with me, which is where I would end up for my first duty station. She did not want to go there with me, so that ended our relationship. All right. We have an Ace of Pentacles out here, collective. An Ace of Pentacles. You are manifesting this. You are manifesting this. Okay? One of the things that I've been doing in the time that I've been taking off, I've not been on very frequently over the last several days, week or so, is one of the things that I've been highly focused on during my meditations is meditating on what it feels like to be with that divine partner. Not who they are, but what does it feel like to be with that divine partner? What's the energy? How do they make me feel? Okay? When they're around me, when I'm around them, okay? What are our conversations like? How much do I enjoy those conversations? Getting into the feeling, the energy of what's it gonna be like? What could it be like? Okay? Ace of Pentacles out here, collective. So some big money moves. You could be making money moves at this time. I think in the last live, someone mentioned something about investing in Bitcoin. I wouldn't go that route, okay? You'd be better off putting your money in a high yield savings account or something, probably, okay? Yeah, you're alchemizing something out here, okay? Something about a tainted love, tainted love, okay? Yeah, somebody's lost all their tools, okay? Somebody's lost all of their tools. We have the Ten of Pentacles out here in reverse, or excuse me, Ten of Wands out here in reverse. Someone has lost all of their tools, whatever tools they were using. They could have lost these things because they were stolen, lost them because they were taken, lost in a fire, lost because they're incarcerated and they have no access to them. This could also speak to people. Hello, Lauren. Thank you so much for tuning in. This could also speak to people. So they could have no more access to people. Okay? In this Ten of Wands energy. They are lacking self-sufficiency, Divine is saying. They are lacking self-sufficiency. So somebody out here is lacking self-sufficiency. Okay? I'm looking at the stack here, and this message on top says demonic possession of human bodies. Take a look at this. Demonic possession of human bodies. I'm just looking down at, take a look. Okay. You're welcome, Chrissy. You're welcome. Okay. I hope it's entertaining. Yeah. So, her and I separate. I leave basic training, go to Fort Jackson in 1995. I enlisted into the United States Army, and 3/31 was my first enlistment date in the United States Army. So I go to basic training at Fort Knox. Okay. Hello, Share Bear. I go to Fort Knox, basic training. Yeah. Yes, of course, Share Bear. All right. So I go to Fort Knox for basic training in 1995. I do extremely well in basic training, even though I arrived there the heaviest physically that I've ever been. I was 190 plus pounds when I got to basic training because I was out of high school for 2 years and the exercise went way down. I played varsity basketball, as a senior, played freshman and sophomore football and basketball. So I've always been physically active, but for 2 years, 18 to 20, I did not have much physical exercise outside of a little pickup game of basketball at, you know, public court somewhere. Okay? But I worked at a movie theater, and then when I graduated high school, I got a job working at a Little Caesars. Okay? Horn honk. And so I had access to a lot of junky food working in the movie theater at Little Caesars. At Little Caesars, I was an assistant manager. So me and the guy that I worked with, whose name was Mike, we would make all kinds of crazy ass concoctions, calzones and stuffed pizzas, and we would do all that just because it was a slower store, and we would just, unfortunately, we would just waste the ingredients. I would not do that today. But back then, you're 18, 19 years old, you know what I mean? And someone gives you the key to the candy shop, you're gonna enjoy. That's just the way that it goes for most, right? And so, yeah, all right. And so, at the movie theater, the hot dogs, the nachos, all of that. So when I arrived at Fort Knox, I was the largest physically that I've ever been in this lifetime, and that was 195, 90 something pounds. Okay, and but basic training was going to take care of that. So I had nothing to fear. But I was a very good soldier. Okay, from the very beginning, I've always been respectful. I've always been honorable. I've always told the truth, even if it was something that I told a lie about it earlier. I would come back and I'd be like, you know what, my conscience just won't let me do it. I lied. I've just always been. I've always been that type of individual. And as I reflect on my life, my journey, the first 51 years of this lifetime, I think back on all of these times when I could have just kept walking with the lie that I told. Okay? All right? And so, oh yeah, it's no worry. She's definitely looking out, definitely helping. Every now and then I open a journal. I have a picture of her stapled in one of my journals. Every now and then I open up that journal and I'll just sit it out, stand the book up and I'll just sit it out and let that page, just resonate with me and allow her energy to come through and how it wants to. Okay? And so, in basic training, for the first 2 weeks, there was another cadet who was the platoon sergeant, okay? The platoon sergeant, okay? And, however, after the first 2 weeks of basic training, the drill sergeant selected me to be the platoon sergeant, okay? I was already the first squad leader, so that is the highest ranking position within a squad of cadets is the point man, okay? The first person in the whatever, squad, okay? Platoon, whatever it happens to be. And, so we have the revolving door collective. I get this as a warning out here, okay? We have the revolving door out here. I'm getting a warning. If you don't want to be stuck, okay? Don't do it like Chuck. If you don't want to be stuck, don't do it like Chuck. The revolving door. The revolving door. So someone's stuck in a merry-go-round situation, okay? And so at the end of basic training, the drill sergeant selected cadet. I think there was 446, 26, 400 and something cadets amongst us who were graduating in June of 1995 or whenever that was, okay? And amongst those, I was the one chosen to get promoted. Okay? So I was honored, okay, to be promoted, chosen by the drill sergeants. That was more honorable than the actual promotion. Okay, I think it was like $40 more in pay from E1 to E2 in 1995. So it wasn't a lot of money, right? But you got to wear the wings on your collar for those of you who are familiar with U.S. Army rank, okay? And E1 wears nothing on the collar, right? So I got to wear my first little pins on my collar, my little rank, and going into school, okay, at Fort Jackson in South Carolina. I went first, my first MOS, or military occupational specialty, was a light wheel vehicle mechanic and recovery specialist. So I went to school while I was in the military to be a mechanic at Fort Jackson, and then after that, getting to Fort Bragg, my platoon sergeant, my master mechanic, if you will, who was our platoon sergeant, asked me if I wanted to go to recovery specialist school and learn how to tow tanks and other vehicles, learn how to tow those vehicles, pull those vehicles out, recover those vehicles. Did I want to learn that? I was like, absolutely. I want to learn whatever you can teach me. I want to learn that. Whatever school I can go to, I want to learn that. That's how I was, and that was one of my goals when I went into the military, was to go get as much schooling as possible, whether that was military schools or formal education. Okay, so we have patients, and we have a bag arriving. Could be a bag, okay? Could be a satchel. General Collective, take a look. Okay? So we have Ace of Pentacles, package arriving. You're waiting on this. You already know it's arriving for some of you. Some of you do not know it's arriving. Okay. This doesn't have to be a package at your door. Okay. This could be word of mouth. Okay. You could hear something on the news. Okay. This could be a class action lawsuit type of situation, where there are hundreds, thousands, millions affected. Okay? Some type of package, all right? And that's behind the revolving door. This package could help you remove the revolving door, could answer a lot of questions for you. You see how these Amazon packages here, how they have the smile on there, all right? So this news could be putting a smile on your face. Okay, whatever this news is that's coming in for you, could be putting a smile on your face, helping you to get out of the revolving door situation, whatever that looks like for you. Okay? Because you're doing the spiritual work, we do have the magician out here in the upright as well. Patience is a great thing. And so I get to Fort Jackson, okay? And I start dating someone whose name is Andrea Murphy. Andrea Murphy, along with Pulling Energy Collective. Those of you who are just tuning in, I'm also talking about my journey. We are now in like August of 1995 for my journey, my story. Okay. Remain calm where you are. Okay. All right. And so started dating Andrea Murphy. Both of us are in mechanic school. Both of us are in the same platoon in school at Fort Jackson in South Carolina in 1995. And Melinda, who, those of you who are here for that part of the story, Melinda, who I started dating when I was 17, Melinda, she was my first girlfriend, okay? Melinda came to visit me, okay? Again, she's from North Carolina, or at least her family's from South Carolina, so she came to visit me in South Carolina when I was in school at Fort Jackson. And I remember she gave me a we were fanatic Michael Jordan fans. We had like posters, and that was one of the things that brought us together was Michael Jordan. We were like Michael Jordan fans. Even her as a girl, Michael Jordan poster, and we had all of these things. And so that was something that brought us together. I also have another link to Michael Jordan that I'm going to share in a moment, and his family. But dating Andrea, when Melinda comes to visit me in school, while I was in military school in South Carolina, she proposes to me there. Okay, she asked me if I would marry her. I had proposed to her before I went into the military. You need to relax, get some rest, collective, okay? Get some rest. The manifestation is being handled by your ancestors, okay, and divine at this point in time. So this could be a situation where you've done all that you could do. So now it's just time for you to just wait. We got the hangman out here already, okay? Now it's just time for you to wait and stay in this calm energy. Okay? 11 in a room and 12 likes. Thank you for the love. Okay. Anything else, Divine? Anything else from here? Anything else from this? Oh, and we have the most recent Queen of Cups. Okay? Queen of Cups. All right? So someone who's emotionally balanced, someone who is sane, someone who is sane in the upright, you or someone else, someone who is sane, male or female energy, someone who is sane, okay, with this Queen of Cups energy. So whatever the other energy is out here that is not you, it's probably insane. Okay? Someone could need therapy, take pills, schizophrenic, manic, something. Okay. All right. Anything else, Divine Source, for the collective? Anything else for the collective, Divine Source? So she proposes to me at Fort Jackson in 1995, and then I say no because I'm already dating someone else. Okay. I'm already dating someone else, okay? Confirmation on the stolen tools. Okay? So I was already dating Andrea. So I told Melinda no. I said, I can't. I'm already seeing someone else, okay? And in fact, they're right here with me at school, And so she goes on her way. Again, back to Florida. And so when I graduate basic training, me and Andrea, we have all these plans. We're going to get married, or when I graduated mechanic school in South Carolina, we're going to get married. You're going to do this. We're going to have a great military family. One of us can stay in for a career. The other one can exit at some point in time and then get a civilian job and blah, blah. We had it all planned out. Drill sergeants were saying, make sure you send me, a wedding invitation. Our classmates were saying, make sure you, don't forget me, send me a wedding invitation. We had everybody in. We get to North Carolina, our first duty station, interestingly, both of us. Okay, we have the Seven of Cups in the upright. We have something coming in, definitely some news about your money. That's what all this spells to, is to have the Page of Pentacles out here in the reverse, something that's not known yet. Seven of Cups, options. This could be options where you want to put this money, options where you want to invest this money, options where You should keep this money. I will tell you from my own personal 13-year tax accounting experience that whenever you get a large sum of money, it is never wise to just keep it in the bank and just swipe the card. That is never wise. When you get a large sum of money, you need to put this money or the majority of it in a trust so that anyone who goes online and does a search on you, they will be able to find all of your assets. You need to put this in a trust. Okay? So you get $100,000 from a class action lawsuit. Immediately, you need to look to put some of that in the trust. Okay? All right? And then some of it to grow for you. Okay? At least those are my first two steps. First two steps, high yield savings account, only because I already have one and it's easy to just transfer the money over. And second is going to be a trust, family trust, dynasty trust, okay? You can get a trust set up. If you get a trust, be sure to make it a revocable trust. That is a trust that you can change at any point in time. A revocable trust. If you get an irrevocable trust, the way that it's laid out the first time when you lay that irrevocable trust out is the way that it's set forever. So if you're dating Mike or you're dating Michelle, you guys move in together and you decide that you come into this large amount of money, let's say. You decide, you know what, I'm going to make Michelle the beneficiary. I don't have any children. You know what, I'm going to make Mike the beneficiary. I don't have any children, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So you do that with an irrevocable trust. Then you and Mike, you and Michelle separate. You have no grounds to change that irrevocable trust. So it's Michael's or Michelle's forever. So if you get a trust, make sure it is a revocable trust. Okay? But those are my first two steps. Okay? Put some away and a trust. Right? So someone could be putting something away for you. Someone could have put something away for you. A relative could have put something away for you. This could be what's coming in here. Okay? I know that's the case with many of the selective around the world. Is there are financial things that were taken, not from everyone, but for many, there were financial assets that were taken at some point in time. So I get to Fort Bragg in 1995, September-ish of 1995, and Andrea, who I'm dating, have all these wedding plans for, lives in Savannah, Georgia. Okay, we drove up together, okay, when we first arrived at Fort Bragg. And she just flipped out. She completely changed, turned into a completely different person, completely changed her hair to like some auburn red color. Then from there, she commenced to having all of these sexual relationships and inviting guys over to her barracks, okay? And one of our classmates, who also got stationed at Fort Bragg, told me this. And I'm like, I was wondering why she wasn't calling me, she gave me the phone number to the barracks, but when I call her from the barracks phone, she doesn't answer the phone, all of these things. So I go over there, have a conversation with her, and that was the last time I spoke to her. Okay? And that conversation was basically, she wanted to do whatever she was doing. I could already look at her and see, and I wasn't no more spiritually awakened than I would say, I don't know. I just wasn't, okay? So I wasn't paying attention to synchronicities, and I wasn't paying things. At 21, I wasn't paying attention to those things, okay? And so, or was I 21? No, I was 20. And so I just let her go. That's what you choose to do. Okay, bye, whatever, right? And so I would make weekend trips home. It was from North Carolina to Florida, 8-9 hour trip. I would drive from formation in my uniform because I was bored. I didn't want to be I didn't want to be up there and, by myself all weekend, especially on holiday weekends. Military bases are ghost towns typically. And so, anything else from this stack, Divine? I think we're done with this stack, it seems like. Anything else? Anything else? No? Yep, okay. So we have something coming in, options about your money, how you're going to get it, how you're going to receive it. This could be multiple offers, meaning if this is a career thing, okay? We have the Ace of Wands back out here. We had it out here for December babies. So something about some truth, okay? Something about a standard. Maybe you're changing the standard, collective. Maybe you're changing the standard. Changing the standard. Maybe you're changing the standard. Changing how something is done. Changing how something is seen. Okay? This could be how man is seen. This could be how humans are treated. You could be an activist. You could be an advocate. Okay? You could be a supporter of child abuse programs or what have you. That could be something in you to set up, or some type of other community, nonprofit type of contribution you want to make before your time is done here. Okay? Many options. This also could be aware, this could also be with this Seven of Cups, this could be the amount of hands that are going to be out. You could have 7 different people sitting there looking at you when you get yours, like, give me some, give me some, give me some, you know what I mean? So you might want to watch that, okay? You could have people out here who's talking about give me, okay, all right. So do you remember when I gave you that Twinkie in 1972 and remember when you didn't have anything to eat and I gave you the rest of my fries? You could have somebody who's, yeah, right. You could have somebody like that. Okay. So yeah, okay. I get to North Carolina. My first duty station or my only duty station, or my only unit at Fort Bragg, was Bravo Company 327th Signal Battalion. Bravo Company 327th Signal Battalion, a part of the larger 35th Signal Brigade. These units have now since been done away with, okay, or sent to other, dismantled, and legs sent over here, legs sent over there, okay? A brigade is several battalions. A battalion is several companies, okay? And a company is several platoons, okay? That's military structure as far as that's concerned. And so I get to Fort Bragg, and I'm assigned to Bravo Company 327 Signal Battalion. Guess who the first sergeant is when I arrive there? Michael Jeffrey Jordan's eldest brother, James Jordan Jr. Michael Jordan's youngest brother was my first sergeant. Okay? My first sergeant was the brother of the goat. Is the brother of the goat. The goat, the one who jumped from the free throw line, the goat. Okay? The goat. Okay? So you could need some comfort right now. You could be looking for a new comfort pet at this time. If you've recently lost peace and comfort to you, comfort pet, okay? You could be considering a comfort pet, or again, someone could be in therapy at this point in time, okay? Someone could be discovering that animals are great comfort pets, okay? Divine Source, what else do we have for the collective? You could also be comforted by your pet, spirit, animal, whatever that happens to be. All right, something is no longer hidden. Okay, moon in reverse. Something's no longer hidden. Divine source, what's no longer hidden? Again, song download. I'm just a love machine, and I won't work for nobody but you. Looking at the death card on top of the stack over there. I'm just a love machine. A hug and kiss and fiend. Okay? So, I'm just a love machine energy. That could speak to someone who has love for only you. Divine source, what else do we have? What else do we have out here? Something is no longer hidden. Something is being made clear, being made plain to the investigators, to the police officers, to you, to your parents, to your siblings, to your children. Something is being made plain out here. And we have an Empress in reverse. So, in this collective energy, there is something going on with an Empress that's being discovered out here in the reverse. Okay? Some karmic individual, okay? They could claim to be an Empress, but they're really a witch or a warlock in the dark sense. You can be a high vibrational witch, okay? But yeah. Something being discovered out here, being seen out here. It's no longer hidden about an Empress in reverse or an Emperor in reverse. Okay? Divine source, what else? And money. How they're not doing well. Confirmation birth. They could be sick. We have 5 of Pentacles out here for some type of shortage, some type of debt. Okay, illness, debt, that results in sicknesses. Okay, poverty, death, or debt is a financial thing. Okay, see these cards here? 5 of Pentacles, poverty, death of some sort. Okay. Someone lied to themselves as well. They could have convinced themselves that you were the enemy, collective. They could have convinced themselves that you were the enemy. Even though you showed them sweet love, they could have convinced themselves that you were the evil one. Okay? Or convinced others. We got justice landing out here on top of the Empress, upright. Justice collective, okay? That could be someone's name, okay? Justice. Someone could be an attorney, lawyer. Someone could work for an investigative agency. Okay. Now we have the Knight of Cups in reverse. The Knight of Cups. Hello, all right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, Sherry. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good to see you again. Okay, good to see you both. All right. So, so my very first sergeant, in addition to pulling the energy for the collective, I am also telling more of my story. And so when I got to Fort Bragg, my first military duty station, I was there for 2.5 years, 3 years. And Michael Jordan's eldest brother was my first sergeant, okay? And so while I was there, Kevin traveled to Illinois to move his parents from Illinois to Florida, okay? They lived in the same house for, I don't even know, 40, I don't even know how many, a long time, 20, 30 years, 25, 27, something, a long time, okay? Probably closer to 40 years. They lived in the same house. And so they were getting ready to relocate. They were seniors now at this point in time and needed some assistance. And so Kevin helped them move, okay, from Illinois to Florida. And anything else for this stack, Divine? Maybe not, maybe not. Okay. And so during that time, hello, CO. Hello, CO. During that time, give me just one moment. All right. Thank you so much for your patience. So with brag, I took a trip home at one point in time, and Kevin and the ladies that he was with told me that they ran into a childhood sweetheart of mine in Illinois, and her name is Martise Annette Gage. Okay. And so I got back to Fort Bragg, and I was excited. You know, me and Martise met in the 7th grade. We had our little puff thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, but I moved obviously as Kevin moved. Okay. Oh, we have a cult. We have the cult. We have the cult out here. Okay. Worshiping false gods. That rock is not a god. Okay. Behind this this offer here. So somebody could have been paid, somebody could have been given money, somebody could have been set up to come towards you, okay? Right here with this Knight of Cups energy out here in reverse and the colt landing on top of it. You're getting justice for this, collective. You're getting justice for this. Let me show you these cards. Okay. It's interesting how bad the Knight of Cups has been beaten up. That represents a genuine offer in the upright. Okay? So collective, you are getting justice over a cult, over someone who is, they could be the cult leader, you know, however. Okay? And so her and I, we connect. Okay? Reach her on the landline. Back then, no cell phones. Call her on the landline. Reach her at this store by looking through the phone book, calling the operator. Remember those days? Calling the operator. Hi, can you give me the phone number to the Walmart located at 16th and Main? You know, you had to call operator to get the phone number. Okay? And so I found the Target or whatever store she was working at that time, contacted her, connected with her, ended up leaving North Carolina on Valentine's Day weekend of 1996, 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Ended up leaving, traveling to Illinois to pick up this childhood sweetheart. Okay? Pick her up, meet her, talk to her dad. Okay, haven't seen her since we were in the 7th grade. Haven't seen him since we were in the 7th grade. I did meet him when we were children. He met Kevin as well. All right. Her father's name is Arthur for synchronicity. Arthur. Okay. And so okay. So again, someone's feeling weak, someone's defeated. That's what this is. Someone's defeated out here. Okay? Defeated. Six of Wands in reverse. Someone's defeated. Okay? Because you're the elitist, truly. The spiritually elite, you are. Okay? On earth, the elite means those who are the wealthiest. But by divine definition, the elitists are divine beings. Okay? So we ended up getting married, 1996. Okay, I went to get her Valentine's Day weekend of 1996, and my GMC Sonoma regular cab stick shift manual truck. All right, it's the only vehicle that I've ever purchased brand new. Okay, and got that right before I went into the military. And so we get married. Kevin officiates that wedding. Okay, again, he was a reverend, pastor, whatever those religious titles are. And we get married, go back to North Carolina. Again, I was an E2 at that time. And an E2 in 1996, let's see what an E2 in 1996 was making. I'm just curious. This is going to be like $500 a month or something. It's going to be something crazy. What was an E2 in the United States Army making in 1996 with only 1 year of service? That definitely is with like COLA or something, because I was not getting paid 900 and something. It says your monthly base salary was $980, but that's definitely not what my base salary was. I'm not sure where those calculations are coming from. I was getting like 600 and something dollars a month. Okay? All right? So you could be bored at this time, collective. Again, we get that energy out here. You've done all your work. You're waiting. We got the hanged man energy out here. We got a delivery. We have alchemizing. We got the calm card out here. Okay? So yeah, it makes sense that you would be in a calm energy. Again, take what resonates. If you're not calm, there's certainly something you can do about that. Something coming that's newsworthy. Okay? That's already come out here. Dealing with occult injustices. Someone's in the Six of Wands in reverse. Someone is not having a victory. They are not overcoming. They are not successful, whatever that is. And that's because justice is out here, okay, behind this cult. Okay. All right. So yeah. I was not making, earning, getting paid, however you want to phrase it, a lot of money in 1996. But we got married, and she joined me in North Carolina at Fort Bragg. So we were up there from her and I together from 96 to 98. In 1998, I came down on orders to go to Germany. For re-enlistment first. And when I came down on orders for re-enlistment, or came up for re-enlistment, I wanted to stay in. I enjoyed the military, and I enjoyed the travel, and I didn't feel as though I had gotten quite enough out of it yet after one enlistment. So I wanted to enlist again. I did, and I chose to go back to school, be a network switching system specialist. Okay? Set up satellites for phone services out in the middle of nowhere is basically what you do when you're a network switching system specialist. Okay? Set up satellites, give them phone lines, communications, so that in war times in the field, they have phones. Okay? So I went to Fort Gordon, Augusta, Georgia. right? And back then, I was still trying to be like Kevin, okay? I still thought I could be like Kevin. I still honored him, still looked at him like he was the greatest thing since bread, you know? I looked at him like that, okay? And so I met someone whose name was Sheila, okay? Sheila Brown. Sheila Brown. And Sheila and I began a relationship based on her being a part of whatever it was that I was going to do like Kevin. Yeah, that didn't work. And I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad I woke up. Okay? Again, I share my highs with you and I share my lows with you. Okay? So because I idolized this individual who I grew up thinking was my father, I wanted to be like them. Confirmation click. I wanted to be like them. Okay? So that didn't fly over very well, and that didn't get off the ground worth anything, needless to say. Okay? And so I ended up graduating network switching system school at Fort Gordon. At this time, Martise had given birth to a daughter whose name was Kimberly. Kimberly. Okay? And Kimberly was born at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. Okay? And I'm trying to remember the name of that hospital on Fort Bragg. I can't remember the name of it. It's close though. And so by the time I graduated school, I came down on orders to go to Germany with my new job, my new MOS in the military. So from North Carolina, I was getting shipped to Germany to be a part of 1st Armored Division. Okay? Hello, thank you so much for tuning in, Tammy. Okay? And during this time, okay, General Collective, you have a victory out here over some cult. That is what these cards are saying. You have a victory over some cult. Okay? We're going to take a look at the stack and see what's going on here with these. Okay? Looking at the name Kalila and Alexis on both sides. Kalila on one side, Alexis on the other. Okay, these names could be significant to you. Looking at Asia and Lance. Looking at Asia and Lance. These names could be, or places could be significant for you. Lance Armstrong, Lance. There's a Lay's potato chip. Is there a Lance potato chip? I don't know why I'm thinking Lance potato. I don't know. Maybe somewhere there is. Or someone who listens to this will be aware of them. And so I come down on orders in 1998 to go to Germany after my re-enlistment, and I go to school. And I asked the woman that I was married to at that time, Martise, I asked her, where did you want to go? Do you want to go live in Illinois, stay in Illinois with your parents? Do you want to go to Florida, stay with my mother? Okay, what do you want to do? She chose to go to Florida. Little did I know that decision was the beginning to the end. If it didn't happen before that, it was the beginning to the end of our marriage. Because once I got to Germany, Kevin and his women started working on her and convinced her that she was meant to be one of his women and she was to leave me. Again, this is the man that I grew up believing was my father. He convinced, and the women that he was involved with in his cult, convinced her that I needed to be pushed aside and that she really truly belonged to him. Okay? So the same man who married us, okay, who officiated our wedding and who I looked up to, took that woman and our daughter from me. Okay? And so when I got to Germany, I didn't realize any of this was going on in the background. I'm thinking as soon as I come up on the housing list, we're going to get housing. Her and Kim are going to come over here. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing. We're going to learn German. We're going to do all these wonderful things together. Right? Kim's going to have a great experience as a child, remembering that she came to Germany. And right? I'm thinking all these things. Well, none of that happened. Okay. And so she writes me a letter and she tells me that she's not coming to Germany. And I talked to her nearly every day on the phone. You could buy phone cards back then. And I talked to her nearly every day on the phone. But she wrote me a letter and told me that she wasn't going to be coming to Germany. And I called her and asked her why. And she said it was because she was scared, didn't know the language, blah. It was all just lies, you know what I mean? Just the way out. Okay? And what she was really doing was freeing me from the serpent that she was. Hello, Anthony. Okay? What she was really doing was freeing me from the serpent that she was. That's really what she was doing. Okay? All right? So let's take a look here. What do we have? Okay. We have Yolanda and Jeremiah. Yolanda and Jeremiah. Okay. Yeah, Tammy, we all got a good story to tell. I'm telling you, especially high vibrational star seeds and that, light workers, healers. Man, we got some stories. We got some stories. Okay? All right? And so yeah, right? So that was the beginning to the end of my marriage, as I stated, when I gave her the choice. Okay? When I gave her the choice to go to Illinois or Florida. So when she sends me this letter, again, I have a conversation with her, tell her that thousands of military families make this transition every year, if not every month. Every year, thousands upon thousands of families come from the United States to some other country. They bring their families. They stay for a couple of years. It happens almost every day. Every day there's a soldier arriving somewhere outside of the U.S. to their next duty station, and they do or do not bring their family. It happens every day. You know what I mean? This is not something that they're just trying out. But she didn't want to. Okay, no problem. I flew home on emergency leave, tried to save my marriage. That didn't work either. Okay. Ultimately, I came to a realization that it was done. And it was done before I knew it was done. Long before I knew it was done. It was done. It might have been done in the 7th grade when Kevin met her. It might have been done back then. It was done long before that date. Whenever she sent that letter, whenever I came to that realization, the marriage was over long before that. Okay? So from that point on, 1998 and on, Martise and our daughter Kimberly stayed with him, followed Kevin, the one who I grew up thinking was my father. Okay? So, look at the message and the name collective. Okay. Someone's asking me if she ever regretted it. I doubt it. Never. I doubt it. I think it's just a straight karmic family. Her brother was arrested recently for robbing a bank in the same city that I met her in 1985 or 6 or 7 or whenever that was. And he's been arrested for identity theft, and he's been arrested for assault, and he's been arrested. It's just a karmic ass family. And I haven't spoken to her in 2004. No, 2003 or 4. I want to say 2004. No, 2003. 2003 was the last time that I ever spoke to her. 2003. Okay? And when we went to court in 2014, I did see her there, but she didn't say anything to me. Okay? Because I was on the prosecution's team. I was testifying against Kevin, against her, against Christine, against Janet, against Shanita, against whoever. I was testifying against them. So, yeah, she didn't have anything to say to me. Okay? That was 2014, or excuse me, that was 2010. 2014, there was no court hearing. He took a plea deal, and the judge judged upward, whatever the word is. Okay? So he got the maximum sentence, thankfully, Kevin did, 40 to 60 years. Okay? And so, yeah. And so after that, I started dating she sent me that letter, right? And I was just like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, fuck it. Whatever, fuck it. You know, all women are dumb, all women are stupid, all women are blah, 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 blah. I was like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? She is, even though he's incarcerated, Divine Goddess, even though he's incarcerated since 2014, as I recently mentioned, yeah, she's still, whatever, following them around. I don't know if he's still living or not, physically, okay? But yeah, I'm sure she is still running around behind them if she's not incarcerated herself, okay, at this point. And so I was like, I'm going to just use women for one thing only, okay? I'm going to just use women for the booty, and once that's done, that's it. I'm not interested in any type of long-term relationship. I'm not interested in being your daddy, your baby's daddy. I'm not interested in any of that. I went through that phase. That lasted about a week because that's just not my heart. I can't treat women like that. I can't have a relationship with someone and have it be shallow. Like, I just can't. I can't. I have too many interests. You know what I mean? I have too many interests. I can't just be with somebody just for the cooch. Like, I can't do that. I tried it. That doesn't work. That's terrible. Terrible. Okay? I can't do that. Even when I was in low vibrational, unaware energy, I couldn't do that. So you mean, wait a minute, we don't have anything in common except for when we lay down naked together? Nah, no, nah. I just couldn't, you know? And so that didn't last very long. That was a mindset that was that long, right? And so I did start dating a German woman, okay? A German woman whose name is Connie, okay? Or Cornelia. Oh, thanks, Tammy. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. Okay? And so that didn't work for me, but I did start dating a female whose name is Connie. Okay? Confirmation ding. Okay? Connie. So Connie and I started dating. She's German this lifetime. Okay? First language is Deutsch. Okay? And we started dating, clubbing, you know, things you do in your mid-20s. And so I stayed in Germany for 2 years. 2 years I stayed in Germany, and then came back, reassigned back to the States. And when I came back to America, or went back, I'm in Vietnam. When I went back to America, still in the military, I got stationed at Fort Stewart, which is in Georgia, 3rd Infantry Division. Okay, 3rd ID, baby, 3rd Infantry Division. And so Kevin told me something that I did not understand or realize what he was saying until years and decades after. Kevin told me when I left, the day I left with the recruiter to get sent to basic training, Kevin told me, he said, keep your nose clean because there's always someone watching. That's what Kevin told me on the day that I was leaving for basic training. Keep your nose clean because there's always someone watching. Okay? All right. Yeah. And I wouldn't say attract, but they're like moths to a flame. Okay? You are the bright light. And so moths are attracted to that just like butterflies are, just like honeybees are, just like, you know? So moths are attracted to the flame just like others, just like lightning bug. You know what a lightning bug is, right? So yeah, all right. And so Connie and I started dating. I get stationed at Fort Stewart after my 2 years in Germany. And Connie and I are we're still single, at least I believe we're still in a committed relationship. I got plans. I already know I'm about to go on a deployment. As soon as I land at Fort Stewart, I get turned right back around, go to deployment readiness training or combat training. Then from there, I'm turning right back around, flying right back across the waters for a deployment. That year, I think I flew something crazy like 70,000 miles or something crazy like that. Within 70 days, I had flown from the US, from Germany to the US, from the US back across the water, and within that 12-month time span, also had flown home at one point on emergency leave to try to save my marriage. So there was a lot of training. It was probably more like a year and a half, but there was a lot of flying, 70,000 plus miles flying. I remember when I calculated it. All right. So, okay. This bottom card says healing arrives in many forms. Okay, that's for the brothers and the sisters. All right. Healing arrives in many forms. Okay. Healing could arrive in a love form. Okay. Because somebody's just a love machine and they don't work for nobody but you. They're just a love machine. Okay. A hug and kiss and fiend. Somebody is. Okay. Looking at your 7th house, contracts, marriages. Looking at Simmons, Donaldson, Thompson, demonic spouse, cancer diagnosis. And so I get to Fort Stewart. I go on deployment. I'm gone for 7-8 months. Come back to Georgia. Okay? Come back to Georgia. And I pay for a plane ticket for Connie to come over from Germany to spend time with me. Okay? So she comes over. Again, my first wife is still with Kevin, and I am still in cahoots with Kevin. And when I say cahoots, I mean we still talk, laugh, joke, and my ex-wife is right there in his house with our. Connie gets here, or to the States, and we drive from Georgia to Florida, take her down there to introduce her to the family. Little did I know, again, his rule was any woman that crosses my door belongs to me. So it didn't matter who she was, who she belonged to, who she was legally or emotionally attached to, Kevin said, every woman that crosses my door belongs to me. That's what he said. Okay. And so something that I found out later, Divine revealed to me, is the reason why they gave me his name is so that he could do these destiny swappings and witchcraft and whatever, use my social security number, whatever he wanted to do, so that he could easily do these things. That's why whenever he took me from my biological father, my true father on earth, whoever that is, that's why he changed my name to his name, so that he could easily do those things. Okay? And so, interestingly, the only one that he supposedly raised of his, and he has like 18 kids or something like that, I am the only one whose wife he ever took. I am the only one. He never took any others' girlfriends. I am the only one whose wife he took, of the ones that he raised, supposedly raised. Okay? So, sorry about that. The phone fell. Something's falling, collapsing. 21:10 on the clock. 21:10, 9:10. Yeah. Yeah, he really did, Chrissy. Yeah, because he was never gonna change. That's one thing I know for sure today. He was never going to change. So long as they kept him free, okay? And when I say they, I mean those women, because they could have reported him at any point in time. So long as they kept him free, he was never gonna change, ever. And he probably didn't change while he was incarcerated, and I keep saying was, okay? So he could no longer be here. But he was never going to change, ever. He was just going to continue to break families and steal women. He was going to continue to do it, no matter what. He was just going to do that. And so he was one who definitely needed to be taught a tough lesson, a hard lesson. So, yeah, right? So I bring Connie to meet him. Little do I know, years later, okay, Connie would also give birth to a child by him. So that's at least the second woman that I've been with from 1998 to 2001 that he ultimately ended up taking or sleeping with. Connie gave birth to a child. I don't know if Martise ever had a child by him. But yeah, she ended up giving birth. So either he flew over there or she flew over here. And she ended up getting pregnant by him. True story. True story. True story. Her daughter's name is Zoe. Zoe. True story. Okay. If I show you a picture of Zoe and show you a picture of some of my siblings or those siblings when they were young, you knew they grew up in the same house. You knew they came from the same bloodline. There is no faking it whatsoever. You can tell it. It's just obvious. Connie told me that she didn't know who the father was. For sure, all right. For sure. That doesn't even begin to explain it. They're weak women. All right. And men too. The man too. Because he was a dude this lifetime. Weak too. Him too. Weak. Okay. I bring Connie, fly her over from Germany. She meets Kevin. She meets Martise. She already knows all about Martise. She already knows all about Kimberly. Okay? I tell her I am not about that lifestyle at that point in time. Okay? I'm not trying to be like that. I'm not trying to, no. One is enough, and not for bad reasons, like sitcoms. I can only handle one. One gives me a headache. Oh, I can't handle two women. No, not like that. I mean, one is truly enough. The one, whoever he or she is, they really truly are enough. One is really truly enough. It's when we get into incomplete relationships that we start looking for one that can cook, and then we start looking for one that can sew, and then we start looking for one that can, I don't know, give massages. Then we start looking for another one that has a good job. Then we start looking for another. That's because you have incomplete connections. Those individuals are not for you. Not because they're karmic necessarily, but because they're not for you. Okay? If you marry the wrong person, that's two people who married the wrong person. You cannot marry the right person and then marry the wrong person. That's not possible. If you marry the wrong person, they also married the wrong person. It's a lesson for us all. That's how important it is that you pay attention to who you select. Okay? That's how important it is. Okay? And so, okay? So, she meets them, okay? I don't know how they got reconnected, okay? I do know that while she was here, they made, and I did have a landline at that time. So during the time when Connie came to see me, it's not a sad story to me today. It's not. It's like, thank you, Divine, for the journey. I'm glad that my journey has been able to expose, put away somebody for 40 to 60 years, which in 2014 is a death sentence for them because they won't live to be 120 years old. Okay? So that's a death sentence for them. I'm glad that I was part of being able to get that warlock off the street. I'm glad because he was definitely going to ruin more families. So, yeah. Okay? I take pride in the story today and in the journey. Okay? Yeah. It's worth it to wait, Lakeisha. No question about it. It's worth it to wait. And the right one will have just as much patience. The right one will have just as much patience. Because they'll know. They'll know. Okay? And so, I need to do something else with this phone here. Let's see if that works. Okay. Where was I at? Oh, so yes. So I get back to Georgia, okay? And I'm still in again, Connie and I didn't work out. So good question, Divine Goddess. Divine Goddess asked, what was Kevin's conviction for 40 to 60 years? So he slept with someone, a minor, at the age of 15. She was 15 in 2009. Okay. So he got arrested. The big charges were those: getting her pregnant, multiple sexual relations with her. Okay. This is also someone who one of the women who was involved with him since the 80s, she gave birth to, but she got pregnant by some other man when she left him at some point and then came back pregnant. And the one girl that she gave birth to, that is the child that he ended up raping when she was 15. She ended up giving birth to a child when she was a teenager, and he had the women lie and say it was theirs. Okay? Yeah. Very extreme predator. Had a bachelor's degree in child psychology, so he knew how children thought. Okay? And he had a master's degree in religious philosophy. So how adult human, okay? How to get to them, their morals, okay? Nothing's more important to an adult than their belief system, no matter how karmic it is or how high vibrational it is. Nothing is more important to an adult than their belief system. He had a master's degree in religious philosophy and a bachelor's degree in child psychology. Okay? And so, very smart man. It's not like this guy was like some dumbass. Okay? Okay? Not like this guy was some dumbass just walking around here, drug addict on the street. Absolutely not. He could talk me under the table today with words that I still have to look up on Google. I mean, it's just the intelligence is through the roof, for this guy. But he chose the way that he chose. Okay. And so I see after Connie leaves that that's not gonna work. Okay, long distance relationships do not work for me. Okay, they do not work for a number of reasons. One, I am a time together kind of person. So if you do not have time to spend with me, we can't build a relationship. How do we build a relationship on empty time? Okay? And absence doesn't make the heart grow fonder to me. Absence only makes the heart wander. It doesn't make the heart grow fonder. Okay? It does not. Okay? It only, especially for long periods of time, specifically, it only makes things worse. It only has you looking elsewhere. So long distance relationships are really out of the question for me for any long period of time. Now, if they have to go away for a weekend or a week or something like that, because I don't know, they have some business travel to do or something like that, that's different, okay? But to be away from each other, so for instance, her in Germany, me in the US, and her flying over every, I don't know, let's say if I flew her over every 8 months, that's way too long. That's not gonna last. Okay? So call that relationship quits. Okay? Then I began to change. When I got back from my deployment, hello, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay? Mama Bear, good to see you, sunshine. All right? I didn't see that was your very true comment up there. Thank you for tuning in, Mama Bear. All right? So when did my mindset, when did I start to think beyond just the happy-go-lucky kind of everybody treats me the way when did I start to become aware of these things? It was a slow process, okay? So I remember on my deployment, there's not much to do on most military deployments. So the only thing to do really was read and work out. There was nothing else to do, okay? Obviously other than your job, but there was nothing else to do. So I worked out and I read, right? I took with me Billy Graham's autobiography. And the book is like yay thick, okay? And I read that while I was on this deployment. Okay, that was my reading. And I learned some things. And during that time, I became aware that it was time for me to get out of the military. Okay, I became aware that I was entering my 7th year. It was coming time for me to get out of the military. And I wasn't so happy about that. Again, the military was extremely good to me, treat me well. I fit well into the military just because of the discipline and that I have, okay, about myself. I just did extremely well. And so I wasn't happy about leaving, but I was excited because I was always excited for the next chapter, the next thing. What does divine want to show us? What does divine want to share? I've always been excited about that. So I get ready to ETS, okay, end of time of service. And take a look at the messages, collective. Something here may resonate for you. Okay. Someone lying to get a rank or promotion and someone has moles on their face. Could be one, it's one or more moles on their face. Okay. And someone's lying to get a promotion or a rank. This could be a promotion within this cult that came out here, or lying to get a promotion at work above you, lying to be seen in a bigger light than you. Okay, celebrities do witchcraft. Yes, they do. All right. So I knew something was changing. I knew it was time for me to get out. So I didn't re-enlist for a third time, even though I wanted to. And so when I ETS, I go back to Central Florida. Again, Kevin's still there. Marty, Shanita, all the women are still there with Kevin, with other children that he has had, in the 90s, they're there, that these women have had with him. And I get a job working at this medical company. Get this job in Lake Mary, Florida. Lake Mary could be significant for you, or a lake. And when I get this job, I meet someone. It was his autobiography. Okay? It was his autobiography, Mama Bear. That was the book that I read of Billy Graham's. Okay? And so I get this civilian job as I'm transitioning out of the military. I get this civilian job and I meet someone there whose name is Marcia Marie Guerra Pereira at the time. Okay? Marcia Marie Chi Pereira. And Marcia was going through a divorce. Okay? She was going through a separation. And Marcia and I, like most conversations, when you meet someone new, how they start. Hello, visionary. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just sharing a little bit about my journey. Okay? As we continue to get confirmations, names, dates, and places for synchronicities for the general collective. And her and I, we strike up conversations, find out we're both believers, okay? And so, yeah, we strike up a friendship to start. And then I am 4, 5, 6 months into this job, I think. And a unit in Tampa, Florida, because my ATS date was actually 6 months down the road or something like that. Okay, but again, I was transitioning out of the military. Hello, Sassafras. Thanks, thank you, visionary. All right. And so as I'm on this job, I get news that there is a unit, military army unit in Tampa, that is getting ready to get deployed because of 9/11. And they are needing a military intelligence officer. And they wanted to see if I wanted to go back to active duty to go to military intelligence school and go on a deployment with this unit. And I was like, yep, I'll do it, no problem. So they send me off to military intelligence school in Arizona, Sierra Vista, Arizona, Fort Huachuca. Okay. And I go there in October of 2002. Yes, October of 2002. Okay. And so by the time that I get there, me and Marcia, we are in heavy talks. Okay, we are in serious talks. Family, marriage. By the time that happens, we're in serious talk. Okay, and I think honestly, the deployment prospect probably sped some of that up. I think a little bit emotionally. Okay, and but yeah, we were already talking about. Yep, when this happened, then we'll do that. When you get back, yep, do that. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Marcia has an accident on the job, and she falls and injures her back. Okay. She ends up getting $30,000 while I'm in military intelligence school. She ends up getting $30,000 from this employer. Okay, obviously she has to leave because you can't sue an employer and continue to work for them. Okay, all right. So she ended up winning this case against them, gets a check. She flies from Florida to Fort Huachuca to spend some time with me. Okay. And during this time, we get an apartment, and she has nothing else to do. She can't work, so she just stays in Arizona with me for, I don't know, 2 months or something like that. And military intelligence school, I want to say it might be 20 weeks, something like that. 19, 20 weeks, 18, 20 weeks, something like that. And she stayed there for a lot of the times. In fact, she flew back a couple of times. My birthday this lifetime is around Thanksgiving. Okay. On 11/29, and so she surprised me with Phoenix Suns tickets. We were in Arizona. I was in military intelligence school, and we took a trip from Tucson, basically south of Tucson, Sierra Vista, Arizona, up to Phoenix, Arizona, Thanksgiving Day weekend of 2002. Celebrated my birthday at a Phoenix Suns game. Okay. Only time I ever been to a Phoenix Suns game in Arizona. Okay. Was with her. Okay. And so we had a lot of fun together, Again, I was in military school, so I was unavailable during the day. Okay. I also think this is how Kevin was able to talk to Connie years prior, is because when I was at Fort Stewart, I had a phone line. So he could obviously pick up the phone and just call her. One of the women could just pick up the phone and they could have just called her. That could have happened. Okay? Or they could have gotten her number to her parents' house. I mean, they could have done it, and I was gone for 8, 9, 10 hours out of the day. And Kevin obviously had my home phone number. Okay? But I'm just going back and just thinking, how did they get in touch with her? How did they stay in touch with her? That's probably how. Because they did make a surprise visit to Fort Stewart while I was there, unannounced, just showed up. Okay? That's where my policy of parents can't just show up anytime they get ready. That's where that policy came from. I don't show up to your house anytime, not even to Kevin and Judy's house. Show up to your house unannounced. You don't just show up here. That's where that came from. Okay. So, so me and Marcia had a good time. Me in military intelligence school, end of 2002, December, January, right? Going through military intelligence school. While we were there, they were doing, of course, their interviews and all of that because I needed a top secret government clearance in order to be in military intelligence. I already had a secret clearance, but So they would talk to any and everybody, okay, for this top secret government clearance. They went back to elementary school teachers, kindergarten teachers, if they were still living, okay? And so while we were there, we had a lot of fun, okay? While we were there, she got her check, okay? And so what we ended up doing, okay, on a lot of weekends, we would just rent a motorcycle and we would just go cruising. All up and through the mountains, you know, the Miracle Mile. We would just go riding around on the weekend. We just rent a bike, just rent a motorcycle, rent a Harley, okay, a Road King or something, and we just go rolling. That's how her and I was. She never had children, okay. From what I was told, she could not have children because 1.5 of her ovaries was removed when she was 15 or 16, okay. And they were because of cysts or something on them. Yeah, definitely, Chrissy. Okay. And so, yeah, so we had a good time together. All right. So I get released from military. Divine already told me that they were going to get me out of the military. I didn't know how. I just like, well, I'm in military intelligence school, however it works out. Marsha was extremely high vibrational back then. Extremely high vibrational Marsha was. She was like the angel that came to me. Okay? And that would be lost or get lost at some point on her journey, unfortunately. Oh yeah. No, I knew what you meant, Mama Bear. I understood. And so, names for your journey, collective. Names for your journey. Okay. And so, my CEO, the CEO for the company that I was attached to, the unit in Tampa, military unit in Tampa, he ends up sending me a letter, unprecedented. And he says, Sergeant Thomas, we have kept you however longer than your ETS, beyond your ETS date, okay? You can choose to get out or you can choose to come with us. Divine had showed me a dream. And in this dream, I was in war. And I was injured and needed to get out. There were others who were injured too, and needed to get out of the firing space where, get to safety, okay? Get to shelter. I helped other people get into this Jeep in this dream, but there was no room for me. Okay? So, to me, when I had that dream, to me, that let me know that it was not for me to stay in the military. My 8 years, it was enough. It was done. It was not meant for me to continue on. Okay? And so, but Marsha was extremely religious, but still very high vibrational, okay? Certainly compared to me back then, all right? And so I remember visions and things that when she would pray for me and that sort of thing, I've seen my heart. And when I say see my heart, I don't mean the arteries and valves. I don't mean that heart. I mean my true essence, okay, and who I am and the unconditional love that I have seen that image, heart. I have seen that, okay, and that happened at a point in time when she was praying for me. And so we had a pretty good thing going, okay. Hello, Shiny. So we get to, I get out of the military in 2003, and Divine Source earlier had guided Marsha to a church that was in a storefront at the time. And that church was the Rock of Central Florida. The Rock of Central Florida still exists today. You can look them up online. They have social media presence, okay, on YouTube, okay, and other places, I'm sure, okay. And so they post their live videos and all that sort of thing on Sundays, messages, whatever is going on there, okay. And so I started actually getting cassette tapes while I was still in the military at Fort Huachuca, because me and Marsha were in communication with each other. She told me, Yahweh sent me to this place. He told me to go there on a Thursday. So she went. Divine said that this is where she needs to be. And so, right? So when I got out of the military, I liked what Steve was saying at the time, okay? So I went. I ended up being there for the next 20 years. Okay? I found out I was sent there, but I was there for the next 20 years. In the first 6 months I was there, Divine Source sent 3 messengers. Steve invited them. He didn't know what they were going to say. But Divine sent 3 messengers to let me know that I was in the right place at the right time, and that I was not to go anywhere until further notice. Okay? One gentleman stood up. Again, these are ministers. Stood up and he said, you come here, okay? You need to be sitting on the front row. He said, Yahweh said you need to be sitting on the front row. You don't need to be sitting anywhere else. You need to be on the front row. It's okay. Right? Another gentleman came and said, Divine Source said that you need to be, it might have been the same person, you need to be wherever Steve is spitting. He said, wherever Steve is spitting, which means wherever he is speaking, you need to be sitting there. Okay? Interestingly, Steve never took me on any of his speaking anythings. He never invited me to anything as far as speaking engagements. He'd invite me to his house, but outside of that, no. Okay? And so another gentleman said, Yahweh searched the earth for you. Just stood me up. You come here. You come stand up here right now. Just call me out in front of everybody. Come stand up here. I have some words that God wants to share with you. And I'd be standing there and everybody looking at me. I'm just standing there. Okay? Always knowing that I was unique and special and all of that, but Okay? And he says, Divine Source, he didn't say Divine Source, he said Yahweh. He said, Yahweh searched the earth to join you to this man. He then says, I see you taking something called the Nestea plunge, and you falling back. You didn't know where you were going to land, and you didn't care. He said, but I want to give you a push in that direction, is what he said, and he kind of nudged my shoulder like that. All right? I have taken that Nestea plunge. Interestingly, I took it without Steve, without Kim, without Kevin, interestingly, I took it without them. Interestingly. Okay? And so Steve knew early on that Divine Source sent me there. Steve and Kim, they knew early on, whoever else, they knew early on that Divine Source chose me, picked me out, selected me for whatever mission there, whatever that was, whatever it did be, whatever. Okay? My time there had come to an end, is what it boils down to. So what happened with me and Marsha? What happened with our relationship? Okay? Well, when I got out of the military, yeah. And again, I fulfilled my purpose there. They were part of the dialysis journey. They saw me on dialysis for 4.5 years. They saw me healed, and they saw me walk into that building having received that kidney transplant on 7/7/17. They've seen the miracles. They've witnessed the risings. They've witnessed the ascensions. I've told them the dreams and visions, many of them that I've had over the 20 years some of them involved them. I've shared my energy and my love with them. They know. So that was a mission too, a calling too. Okay. And so, so what happened to me and Marcia? So when I got out of military intelligence school and out of the military, when I got to the Rock of Central Florida, I realized, right, visionary, I realized that she had been telling them a lie. Okay? And this lie was that we were married. We were not married. We lived together, but we were not married. Okay? Also, when I met Steve and Kim, Marcia and I, before we separated, Marcia and I invited him, Steve, senior minister at the Rock of Central Florida, and his wife, Kimberly, we invited them over to our house and served them lunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And I shared with him my journey and how I got there. How miraculously I received this letter from a CO when they're getting ready to get deployed. Who releases soldiers when they're getting ready to get deployed? You need soldiers when you're getting ready to get deployed. And he's like, we held you beyond your ETS date. You're free to go if you are basically so divinely led. And I already knew it was time to get out, so I did. Okay? While I was in, before my mind changed, meaning my mental, before my mind changed, and my outlook on life and that, I volunteered to go to everywhere. I wanted to go on every deployment. I wanted to do it. You know, wherever the battle was, that's where I wanted to be until the end of year 7. Okay? And so, come to find out, she had told them that we were married. So when I got there, first service was first Sunday in March of 2003. That was my first service at the Rock of Central Florida. And I'm wondering, and at first I don't know, at first I didn't pay attention or something. I don't know. I was so excited to be there and so excited to hear what Steve had to say. I was literally like eating up everything he said, every word, every syllable, everything, right? And I was like, wait a minute. I think I saw it on like the bulletin board or the program or something. I saw Mr. and Mrs. Thomas, and I was like, whoa. I was like, wait, what? And I went to Steve, and I was like, Steve? And I asked Marcia. She was like, yeah, when I first got there, I did mention, and I was like, that's not right. We're not going to deceive them. And I went to Steve, and I told him, I said, Steve, in a meeting, I said, Steve, I said, when Marcia got here, she lied. I said, we are not married. Okay. And I said, I realized that whenever I heard or whenever I saw, whatever I saw, okay, that brought that to me or helped me to see it. And I was like, we're not married, Steve. Okay. And I said, so whatever perceptions that the others have of us, I want to correct that at this time. And he made us stand up in front of the entire church, in front of the congregation, and he made us stand there and repent and be forgiven. They all came up, the congregation did, gave us a hug and spoke, forgiveness and all whatever they said to us. Okay? Their bless yous, whatever. Okay? So I've always been one, even when I've been a part of a lie or what I've never been able to live with those types of things. It's just not in me. Okay? So Marcia and I go our separate ways after that, okay? Because I realized she is she has formed this certain perception in their minds that we are a couple, meaning married, and we're not. And so We both have to bounce back from that shame and come back from that and all that sort of thing. And so that was a rough journey for us. That is when I took my sabbatical, okay? Because I thought life was pretty shitty at the time. Okay? Right? So I thought life was pretty shitty at the time. So I was like, I can do bad all by myself. I don't need your help, divine, to be in a ditch. You know what I mean? I don't need help with that. I can crawl by myself. You know what I mean? I need help to walk. I need help to fly, not to crawl. So, stop attending the rock. Again, even though religious, that's where I was sent. Stop attending the rock. Still gave him money though. And yeah, just commenced to living however I wanted to. Again. But that didn't last very long. So I ended up getting a DUI, then lost the license, then lost, because I had the driver's license, needed the driver's license for the occupation. Then from there, okay, lost the apartment. Like, it was just like, it was fast. It was fast. So I was like, okay, all right, done with this. I get the point. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yes, conscious clearance. Okay. And so I was like, yep, forget this. I thought it was bad before. I was like, oh no, you've said enough. So I recommitted myself in 2007. 2007, January of 2007 was my recommitment. Okay. And I've never looked back. I didn't know what was ahead of me. There was a lot more. Okay. But I've never looked back. 2008, Steve baptized me again. The first time was as a child, but that was just a dumping on of the water because there was no baptism in that particular place called the church. Okay. When I was a child, the Pentecostal church told me that I was too mean to be saved. Okay. That is a childhood flashback. When I was a child, like 9, the Pentecostal church, the ministers and elders, the first ladies, told me that I was too mean to be saved. What kind of God do you serve that's too mean to save someone? What kind of God, what kind of creator do you serve where they can't save someone because they're too mean? That's a weak-ass God. That's a weak-ass God. Okay? So, after my sabbatical, came back, rededication in 2007, baptized in 2008, okay? Got connected with Kevin, Judy, and all of them after 7 years, 2003 to 2007. I didn't know where they were. I didn't know, any of that. From summer of 2003 until 2010, when a sheriff deputy knocked on the door of the house I was staying at. I didn't know where they were. I was looking for them, looking for my daughter, wanted to know where they were, didn't know where they were, wasn't aware of the witchcraft and evil trickery and all of that stuff to the extent that it was. I wasn't aware of all of that at that time. All right. So 2010, a sheriff deputy, Seminole County, comes knocking on the door. And he says, I have a message for you. And he actually gave it to my roommate. He said, your mother is looking for you. Okay. And I was like, what? I've been looking for her forever. Where is she at? So get on the phone with her. We end up having like an 8-hour conversation. Okay, Judy and I, that night. I remember I had to charge my phone, recharge it again, go back in the house, sit outside. We'd sit out in the driveway. We talked forever, and like to 1:30 in the morning or 12:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning or something. Talking on the phone forever to the woman who raised me or I thought did, okay, who I had not talked to in 7 years. We stayed on the phone talking for, until the next day, okay? And so I'm 2010, okay? Oh yeah, absolutely, okay? Divine Goddess, okay? And so 2010 was crazy, okay? I saw my daughter Kimberly for the first time since 2003, okay? She wanted nothing to do with me because by that time she had been completely brainwashed, okay? She had been completely brainwashed. She didn't remember anything, none of our trips, not the road trip to Georgia, when she was 7. She said, I don't remember any of that. She was completely brainwashed, completely MK Ultra'd out. Completely MK Ultra'd out. Okay? So, when I get this information from this deputy, call her, we're on the phone for hours, all right? I make plans to travel up there to see her. She's in Illinois, Judy, at this time in 2010. She tells me she left Kevin in 2007 after following him for since 1972 or something. She followed him from 72 to 2007, beyond that, but okay. All right? And 1972, I think I said 1972. And so I make plans to travel up there. Okay? And so the person who I was living with at the time, as it turns out, she has a daughter who was living with her at the time, but her and her husband, they were going through a divorce, and there was just friends between her and I, okay? She could use the help with the rent, and I could use the help, with a place to stay, all right? And so it just worked out, okay? So her daughter, who was a teenager at the time, whose name is Shekinah, okay? That woman's name is Terry. And so, ended up staying there. But she was going through a divorce with a man who was unfaithful to her, and she ended up letting the house get foreclosed on, okay? And you're talking about during the Great Recession, okay? So 2010, things moved really slow. It took forever. So she got to live in the house like rent-free for a year and a half, 2 years, I think. She lived in that house for rent. She lived in that house rent-free, mortgage-free, paid nothing for 2 years. Okay? So, but yeah, I paid her rent. But so we're getting ready, this house is getting ready to get foreclosed on. It's perfect timing because I make plans to go to Illinois at the very month that they are foreclosing on her home. So perfect timing, okay? So I travel to Illinois, okay? And get there, see Judy, spend, how long did I stay up there? 2 weeks maybe, something like that. I don't know. May have been a little longer, may have been closer to a month. Yeah, something like that, okay? I hadn't seen her again. I hadn't seen her in 7 years. Okay? Spend time with her and, her relatives and that sort of thing. In 2009, Marcia gets married. Sorry to the backtrack. Marcia gets married in 2009 to Alfredo Benjamin Guerra. Okay? Alfredo Benjamin Guerra. Okay? He's from Costa Rica. Okay? So she marries him. Okay? And I wish them well. And in fact, I sent her an email. I might still even have that email from back then. Just well wishing them, super excited for them and for her, and just whatever blessings Most High has for them. Just extremely joyful. We were still extremely good friends. I would watch her dogs when she would go out of town and all that sort of thing. So before they got married, we were still very, very good friends, and we still were part of the Rock of Central Florida. Confirmation. Okay. Something about a follow suggestion. Okay, you could see somebody's name in your social media that you haven't seen in a long time. Okay. Of course. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. This is not typical. Typically, we're more focused on the cards, but Divine Source and an ancestor came to me and said, talk more about yourself, your journey. So this is what I'm doing. Okay. Thank you for those of you who are listening. And so, in addition, we are showing confirmation cards, names, places, years, events, occupations. Okay. And so, yeah. So that's what ended up happening with Marcia and I. She ended up getting married in 2009. I was not interested anymore after we broke up and all of that. I was not interested in that. Okay. Oh, so, all right. New Year's Eve, baby. We did December baby energies at the beginning of this live. Okay. So you might need to take the trash out. This could be spiritual trash. This could be your physical trash. Could be starting to smell. Yeah. Or it's time to get rid of something that no longer serves you. Any gifts that former husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives gave you, throw it out. Okay. Buy a replacement. If you didn't get a replacement, throw it out. You're much better without that energy. Okay. So they gave you a ring, pawn it, sell it, throw it out. They gave you a jacket, a coat, a jersey, a cap, a hat, boots, shoes, socks, lingerie, underwear. Throw it out. Throw it out. Throw it out. Okay. Someone's initials. All right. There's quite a bit. Yeah. So during my hiatus in 2004, when I had a 7-Eleven in Florida, Winter Park, Florida, I met someone who was an employee there. This is wrong. For an employee, okay? And her and I developed a relationship. Her name is Cindy Garcia, or Cynthia Garcia. Cynthia is from New Jersey, okay? And she is Latino, Puerto Rican, okay? And in 2005, we ended up dating each other. And that was horrific, okay? That's probably, I mean, just like from a extremely obvious standpoint, without meditation, that was just a very, it was just a very bad relationship. It just was, okay? Yeah, okay. So she ended up getting pregnant, and during this sabbatical, this time when I was like, I don't need divine source, I can do bad all by myself. What about a car left behind a death? Surely I'm not. What about a car left behind a death? A death. You might have mistyped. Surely you might have mistyped something there. Okay. So she ends up getting pregnant. Okay. Neither one of us are at that time in position to take care of a child. She has two children that are under the age of 8. And we were just like, so we decided to offer this child up for adoption. Okay. And as we are told, there was an interracial couple, multiracial couple, who were not able to give birth. And in fact, one of them happened to be Spanish or Latina, whatever, Latino. So we signed over this child to them. One of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. And the after effects. One of the more difficult things that I've ever had to do. Perhaps is do that. Is do that. Okay? I was ashamed, okay? Embarrassed, I was angry, I was upset, I was disappointed in myself. There's a lot of emotions that come through for me, or that did in that situation. Okay? So that was definitely one of the yeah, that was definitely a relationship that I should have said no to. Definitely. Okay? Sometimes we ignore the obvious signs, collective, against our better judgment. Okay? Don't let it happen again, okay? Because it won't. Not to this one. Not to this one. Okay? Won't happen again. So, we are in the middle of the Great Recession in 2010. And things are tough. I'm filling out job applications. I'm now back in school after the job that I was at let me go, like so many in 2008, 9, 10, like so many. And I found that my military career just wasn't as hefty as I thought it was going to be. It just wasn't going to carry me like I thought it was. So I decided to go back to school and pick up something that was going to be recession proof, I guess you could say. I chose accounting. Taxes need to be done, no matter in the U.S., no matter what. Okay? Taxes got to be done, no matter what. So I started studying in this bachelor's program to be an accountant, or the accounting program to get an accounting degree. But in 2012, I still could not find work. Okay? And I decided that I was going to relocate from Florida to Atlanta, Georgia, specifically Norcross, Georgia, where someone who I grew up with in that polygamous household, not a biological brother, his mother was brought into that situation after he was born. He was like 6 months old at that time in 1985 or whatever. And yeah, I was going to stay with him for a little while, you know. And Yeah. Okay. So I get to Atlanta, but I'm getting sick. I'm starting to get sick, and I don't understand why. My ex-friend gaslit me into getting pregnant. Oh man. Mm. Confirmation. Wow. Yeah. Shit. Yeah. Yeah. Release them. Sounds like you already have. Okay. Someone said their ex-friend talked them into getting pregnant, guilted them into getting pregnant. Okay. So um, I couldn't find any job in Central Florida. I even filled out job applications at like KFC, like fast food restaurants. I could not get a job in Central Florida. I could not get a job. All right. And so, because much of the rock of Central Florida was going through the same thing, I didn't tell Steve that I was homeless. And, why? Why? What's the purpose? 60, 70% of the church is unemployed. What is me telling you that I'm unemployed? What is that going to do except add another burden to you? You know what I'm saying? So what good was that going to do? So I didn't tell him. Okay? So divine source was really guiding me. At least I felt like divine source was saying, like, take the trip. Go to Atlanta, see what it's going to be. Go to Atlanta, take the trip. So everything was already in my car in 2012, like November, December 2012. So, no, like August or something. Yeah, December, like 2012, like August sometime. And so I did. Just turned the car on and I just drove up to Atlanta from Central Florida. Yeah, I can understand the embarrassment. Yeah, from that. I can definitely resonate with that for sure. Okay? I can definitely, Kalita, I can definitely resonate with that for sure. Yeah. hmm Um, and so uh, I get to Atlanta. Couldn't find a job for 4 months in Central Florida. Get to Atlanta by noontime on Monday. I arrive at Atlanta or Norcross, Georgia, north of Atlanta at like 9:30 Sunday evening. By noontime Monday, job done. Employment as an accountant for an engineering firm. Done. Done. Okay? So, nothing in Central Florida for months. Go to Atlanta, boom. Okay? Um, so I start this job there, hanging out. It's good to see him. His name is Quentin. Good to see him. Good to, hang out with him. It's been years and years and years since I hung out with him. So it was good to hang out with him. He was like my little buddy growing up, because I'm 10 years older than he is. He was 6 months when I met him. So again, I'm 11. He's 6.5 months old. 6 months, 6.5, 6 months old, you know? So, yeah, we grew up together essentially, and I was his big brother. And so it was good to see him, good to hang out with him, meet the lady that he was dating at the time, and hang out and talk and chat about all the crazy ass shit that Kevin had done, because by this time, we were well aware. And he was an adult at that time, so was he. He was well aware, right? And he said that's why he never brought his girlfriends home, is because he knew that Kevin would take them. He told me that. So, um, so I'm thinking I'm going to be in Atlanta for a couple of years, but it's only 6 months. Okay. This says, love the enemy, hate their deeds. Okay? So I don't love I don't hate the lesbian relation, or the person who has the lesbian relationship. I don't hate the one that has the homosexual relationship, but I will tell you every day, all day, forever and ever, that a homosexual or lesbian relationship is not a divine union. So love the individual, hate their deeds. Okay? And something about a frenzy, frantic, something, someone, frenzy, frantic. Okay? All right? Quentin's company ends up letting him go 2 months after I get to Atlanta, or 3 months, something. Okay? End up letting him go and 200 other employees. He takes a job out in California in early 2013. Well, by this time, I'm starting to really get sick. And I don't understand why. You know, it's vomiting, it's diarrhea, I can't keep any food down, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know what's going on. He could have been putting something in my food while I was in Atlanta, for all I know. Who knows? Or in whatever, something. And so when he takes this job in California, in the San Francisco area, I go back to Central Florida, okay, and rejoin the Rock, part of the Rock and all that. And I was still going, there were weekends when I would go back to Central Florida just to be a part of the services at the Rock from Atlanta on a weekend. I would do that. And to avoid putting the miles on the car, I would often bus in 2012. Take a bus from Atlanta to Central Florida just for Sunday to turn around and have to go back. Stupid or dedicated, depends on who you talk to. And so I ended up going back to Central Florida, and a month later I was in the hospital. And then, before the time that I left the hospital, I would have a catheter in my chest for dialysis in February of 2013. Okay? And that's what that mark is there. Okay? So, and again, I didn't think it was witchcraft. I'm thinking it was something, the way that I was treating the body. I think I was doing something wrong. Food poisoning and all, I was thinking all sorts of things, okay? And come to find out, it was a rare autoimmune virus that man has no cure for. It's called IgG4 nephropathy. IgG4 nephropathy. Doing fantastic, Shanice. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good to see you. Okay? And so this rare autoimmune virus that man has no cure for, that was just discovered for the first time in 2010. Here I am in 2013 getting diagnosed with it. Okay? All right. And so I ended up on dialysis. Okay? From February 15th, 2013 to July 6th of 2017, I was on dialysis. I did my treatments at home myself, put myself on and off the machine, okay? Entered my data, information, everything into a laptop that downloaded information from the machine, sent it to the nurse's office, to the Fresenius office, okay? Where I had gotten trained on this machine to do dialysis for myself. Okay? And so, yeah. 2015, I got married for the second time. 2015, I got married for the second time. This was to someone that I met in 2002. Yes. 2002, as I was exiting the military before I met Marcia. Okay. And so ended up getting reacquainted with her. Okay. And we were off and running. Got married in 2015. During that marriage, she showed me all the support I wanted to see. Or excuse me, leading up to that marriage, she showed me all of the support I needed to see. She was a part of the Rock of Central Florida. Okay? She was a part of everything that I was a part of. When we got married, all of that stopped abruptly. Okay? So what I found out is that she is not a supporter of me. She did not go with me to the hospital for my transplant. She never showed up. I was there for 21 days. She could have showed up on the 5th day, the 3rd day, the 8th day, the 10th day, the 12th day, 5th day, 19th day. She never showed up. Okay. And so I realized that that was the end of that marriage. Okay. Both of the marriages that I've had in the 3D have lasted less than 3 years. Okay. Energetically, the paperwork took longer, but yeah, neither one of them lasted longer than 3 years. Could be the same for you. Okay. Okay, we have Chips and Salsa, Peaceful Approach, Incest, Music, and Chancellor. Chips and Salsa, and I'm just shuffling the cards, collective, just spending some time with you. Take what resonates. A Peaceful Approach, Incest. This is from each of the stacks. Music. You might need to listen to music to release, or musicians are significant. And we have a chancellor, someone who is in charge. A CO, CEO, COO. Okay? We got justice out here with the collective read, so someone could be an attorney and have their own law firm, or a private investigator. Someone could be a principal, confirmation burp on the private investigator, burp. And so, yeah, so transplant on 7/7/17, divorce, and I meet a Scorpio in 2018 that I started dating in 2019. Her name, the second wife's name is Katina Laverne. Katina Laverne Titmore is her maiden name, okay? Titmore, just like it sounds. And started dating someone in 2019 whose name is Roxanne Abuela Roman. Roxanne Roman, okay? And this was the individual who was going to be the karmic love that was going to awaken me and put me into the dark night of the soul. This is the one that I met in 18, started dating in 19. She was the one to kick me into the dark night of the soul, okay, and into my awakening, right? And so, so I've always had dreams, healed myself of many things, seizures at the age of 8, born with the umbilical cord wrapped around the neck and the left arm. Okay. Avoided arthroscopic knee surgery while I was in the military. I just healed myself. Run, jump, and play on it even today. But she's the one. Okay. because I believe so heavily in that union and in that relationship and the synchronicities of it. I had never been in a relationship where the synchronicities were so obvious and apparent. Okay? The others, there would be good camaraderie. Like I dated a woman who was 20 years older than me 20 years ago. She looked amazing, fantastic, hot, gorgeous. She was definitely the best looking woman in the room, in most every room she walked into, right? So been there, done that, but I never had, and her and I were both Sagittarians. Her and I had a very good chemistry, and wit, and we could joke and clown and laugh like fools together all day, every day. We could kind of get lost with each other with all of that, right? So I've had those that I had great connections with, but the Scorpio, there were numerological synchronicities and things that you could not control. So for instance, she has had a kidney removed. I carry 3 kidneys. Okay? We were born 16 days apart. That's an 8 and an 8. She was born on 11/13. I on 11/29. From the 13th to the 29th is 16 days. That's an 8 and an 8. So we had so many different synchronicities, both from the Midwest. Both would have went to Notre Dame. There were so many things about us. It was undeniable, or at least to me it was. But what I did not know, okay, was that was the snake in the grass. That's what I did not know. So I did not know that she was into witchcraft. Her family was into witchcraft. She was moving her family in to do witchcraft on me. She was doing things to me behind. See, I did not know any of those things until I started to meditate. I just started listening to 70s music. Excellent, excellent. 70s is my favorite decade of music, all right? Overall, okay? And so, she kicked me into my dark night of the soul at the end of 2021. Okay, I started meditating, and yeah, truly, all right. So those types of synchronicities, like unexplained, yeah, yeah, okay, and so yeah, visionary. So yeah. And so I started to meditate, and that's really when I started to wake up to all of the things that were going on around me. And how I had been completely oblivious for 46 years and 9 months. And I remember putting that in a journal. I was asleep for 46 years and 9 months. Because after I started to awaken, there was nothing that they were going to be able to do with me, to me. Once I started to awaken, I was already strong. I was already a fighter. I was already independent. I already had no problem walking alone, being alone. I already had no problem with any of that. I already enjoyed isolation. I already enjoyed those things, many of which they didn't know. Okay? They didn't know, oh, he actually flushes when he's alone? You mean he doesn't crave attention? He doesn't need a relationship? What? These are the things, qualities, characteristics of I that they did not know. Okay? Right? And yes, as suspected, Sean, yeah. So many of our journeys resonate with each other. So many of them. Yeah, so many of them. Okay. And so, Yeah, she moved her mother from Texas, brother, sister with her husband, their daughters, just started moving people in because they were expecting something. Perhaps this body in the coffin. I don't know what they were expecting, but whatever it was, they didn't get. Okay. Yeah, it is a beautiful thing, Sean, for us to resonate with one another. And so then, after I began to awaken and become spiritually conscious after starting meditations in late 2021, then I moved out of her place. I'd given up my place, moved into her place, moved back out of her place in 2021, got a place. I actually slept in my office for a couple of weeks as I looked for a place. And yeah, it's been lights out since, it's been lights out since. I've been moving forward ever since, so yeah, yeah, yeah. Confirmation, visionary. Elites now want to work with the collective is what this card says. I flipped it over. Elites now want to work with the collective. Okay. We have 13 in the room and 31 likes. Thank you for the love. There it is, 13 to 31. That is death, resurrection, and ascension. 31 is new life, confirmation. Okay. Something about hidden information about a death collective. There's a letter arriving shortly for someone in this energy. Kash Patel is significant, current FBI director. He could be getting fired soon. Kash Patel is significant at this time. Okay. The name Scott, first, middle, last. Jill Scott, Donna Scott, Stuart Scott, the name Scott. Someone may be hungry, something about a collapse of lies, a fallen angel. That is what I believe that Scorpio is. Okay? With all the synchronicities that her and I had in common, she was just lazy. She didn't want to leave whatever she was involved in. And again, I don't even know all of that. But yeah, I did come to find out that she did like men and women sexually. I did come to find that out after I left her alone, that she does like men and women. I did find that out. Okay. Something big about America. That card says America will one day be a desolate land. Okay, so something about America going on. Okay. If you're guided to relocate away from America, this could be why. Again, I don't know what that means. Trump. All right. Yeah, confirmation. Yeah, that is part of my job. All right, all right, all right. Thank you so much, Sunshine. All right. For your energy, as always. Okay. You always come here, arrive, ready to listen to whatever, share, confirm, whatever that is. Okay. So thank you so much as always. All right. So collective. I did keep what came out here separately for us, okay? General collective. So again, we have a cult out here, something about money, Ace of Pentacles, someone's in poverty. Okay, as I close this out, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so we have the cult over here. We have an Ace of Pentacles in the upright. We have a Three of Pentacles in the upright. And we have an Empress in reverse. Okay. So someone who was once high on the chart, on the totem pole, on the something, spiritually or physically, they could have been in charge of this cult. They're going down. Okay. They're going down. And that Three of Pentacles was in reverse when it came out. So, in debt, no balance. Oh, I'm thinking of the Five of Pentacles. Excuse me. Okay. So they have no ancestral help out here. Take a look at the next group. So you have justice. Someone is not getting a victory. Right here. Six of Wands in reverse. Someone is not getting a victory. You could be getting bored at this time. Okay? Just sitting around. If you've done all of the work. Again, we're all on different timelines, even though our journey resonates with one another. So we have an upside down genuine energy. Genuine offer. Okay? That's getting exposed. Okay? Something about a comfort pet or your pet or your fur baby. You might need a comfort pet. It might be a good idea to get one. But something's being exposed about a karmic offer. Again, this person could have said yes to you, collective, when you proposed to them and they had something on the side. They were already married. You know, it could be any one of those situations. Okay. Page of Pentacles in reverse, along with the Seven of Cups in the upright and the Hanged Man in the upright, speaks to something coming in here, you being patient about something, or you being encouraged to continue to be patient about something concerning options or something concerning money and options, where to put the money, where to invest the money. Okay. Or something coming in here about something that someone took. Again, that fallen angel empress energy in reverse, or a cult leader. Okay? We have a package from Amazon. It doesn't have to be from Amazon. Also, someone could work for a delivery service, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, Walmart delivery. What else is there? Uber, Lyft, Grab. They use Grab here, okay, in Vietnam or in Southeast Asia. Also Bolt, B-O-L-T, okay. Package arriving. You're keeping calm, and the truth out here with the Ace of Wands in the upright. Somebody's got some good news to share. Okay? Somebody's got some good news to share. Okay? You stay the course, collective, and you'll get it. You stay the course, and you'll get the good news. Okay? Queen of Cups in the upright, Six of Cups in the upright, and Queen of Wands. Again, someone who's in an authoritative position, someone who's emotionally balanced, someone who can speak and call judgment and call, I sentence you to serve a mandatory 6 to 8 years. You know, they can speak with authority without getting their emotions involved. Okay? Someone who's very balanced in that way. Also, that could speak to someone who's a spiritualist. Okay. With this Ten of Wands card that we have here on the reverse, I just get the feeling that someone's fallen out of favor with divine source. Okay? That's why they're in the revolving door. Someone fell out of balance with divine source. Thank you so much for tuning in, Shining. As always, you are a bright light. You are. All right. In addition to that, we have added some new cards, as I mentioned. Okay. They are written in Vietnamese, so I did have to translate them. And there are more to translate, actually. Okay. Not from this deck. All of this deck is translated. Okay. So we have a maid or slave energy here. This is what they were trying to make you, collective, or this is what you were before you awakened. Slave. Someone else is still a slave, still a servant, still stuck in the matrix, still dealing with MK Ultra, still being brainwashed, still refusing to awaken. Now they're afraid to awaken. They don't want to awaken. Okay? They like fucking men and women. Okay? Whatever this is. Okay? Divine love. Okay? In the upright, divine love energy right here. Divine love energy. Okay. Next, we have something that is newsworthy. It could be worthy of a parade, worthy of a band. Someone could be celebrating you. Okay? Something about homecoming or a celebration similar to homecoming, parades, floats. Someone could be having a homegoing from the spirit, physical into the spiritual. Someone could have a homegoing. That's what we call it. When I say we, I mean brown folks. Oh, they gonna have a good homecoming, a good homegoing, good home something, whatever they say. Okay? Somebody could be country. Okay? Nothing wrong with country at all. Okay? In fact, I love me some country. I love me some country. All right? Collective, thank you so much as always for tuning in. Okay? I hope that my journey is an encouragement. Okay? Hello, Noel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that my journey is an encouragement to you, like yours is to me, like yours is to someone else. This is why I share my journey. Okay? Thank you so much as always for tuning in. If you are interested in, you're welcome, Empress. If you are interested in spiritual services that I offer, okay? These are tarot readings, personal readings, if you want to call them that. I call them Esoteric Conversations. You can schedule one with me. If you would like a Reiki healing session, you would like to schedule a Reiki healing session, you can schedule a Reiki healing session with me. I have been certified for a little time now. And again, I've been healing myself since I popped out the coochie. You know what I'm saying? So that piece of paper, it's nice to see, but I was healing myself before that. All right. Yeah. So, any type of chakra blockages, anything that you are needing assistance with, you can email me. We can set up a time to do that. Okay? Current time before I go, thank you so much, Lakeisha. You will have a great day as well. All right? Time before I go, 22:43. 22:43. Okay? Thank you so much as always. Let me take a look at these messages up here. Something may resonate for you. Oh, something about 3 million dong. I have some type of credit with booking.com. Yeah. Okay. Someone's loving what you say. All right. Collective, thank you so much as always for tuning in. Again, my name is Nehru. I am a high vibrational earth angel, light worker, Gaia beacon. I am a descendant of Yeshua, that is Issa, that is Christ. Born on the 333rd day of the year, I am a master builder 33. Okay? I am here to teach, and I am here to learn as you are. Thank you so much as always for tuning in, and be encouraged.